You've been told to get more sleep, get more rest, do more self care, make time for that self care. And you've done it for a period, and you still wake up exhausted. We are utterly exhausted. I've lived in two different countries for the past couple of years, if not longer, really a decade. And both cultures I've witnessed, are in utter exhaustion. What if the problem isn't more rest right now? What if we are needing to realize and discover how to direct our energy? Because I don't care how much you rest, if you come back to a system of loops in the system where you're depleting and you're scattered. That's the thing. You're scattering your energy. Your prana, your life force, does not know how to come back home or even what home is. Ayurvedic practitioners, yogic practitioners knew this, and they've known it for centuries before Western science even had a name for it. And so today I'm going to talk about these sciences of Ayurveda and yoga and how to call your energy back in. My name's Holly Sin. Thank you for watching Heart Mind with Holly. I am so glad that you're here. Please subscribe. This is a small channel that's growing quickly now, and I'm so glad to be sending out this message. My calling is to help people bring their energy home, especially after trauma, after big experiences that are very, very difficult to digest mentally, energetically, and therefore obviously physically. So let's get into this episode. We are living in what I would call an ADHD society. It's a community structural issue, not to dishonor or to invalidate individual diagnosis. I think go get what you need with that for sure. And let's look at it at a cultural perspective as well. We're living with incredibly high demands for productivity and lots of different directions, pressures with family. You need to be seen in your career, and you need to keep outputting in many directions. And this is breeding a structural ADHD issue, not just an individual issue. And in my opinion, this will support someone that might be dealing with coping with those types of experiences, and that you're actually, you're not the failure. You are coping in a society that is not really structured to support people in their wholeness, in their whole mind body system. I see this in myself. I see this every day with clients. There's a constant struggle between work and family and self. There's there's tension and struggle there, and particularly between who I need to be to survive in this culture and who I truly authentically am. Here's what I want you to know. If this is resonating with you, if you are bone deep tired, it's not laziness, it's not weakness, it's not even a moment to give up. It's simply your body saying, I don't know how to get home, and I don't know maybe even what home is. And so it is the grand adventure of the hero to find and claim home energetically. I invite us to just sit in that for a moment, taking a deep breath. And today I am going to jump right into the Ayurvedic science first. So let's get into it. So in other episodes, I've talked a lot about the polyvagal nerve, the theory around the polyvagal in Western science, as well as the parasympathetic, the sympathetic nervous system. I'm not going to go into Western science as much today. What I'm going to go into more is Ayurveda and then yoga. And so before all of those terms and all of those ways of looking at the nervous system, Ayurveda was doing medicine. And Ayurveda is an ancient medical system. It was the first system to do surgery. So it is a very educated, wise, and precise medical system.
And I look at it through a yogic lens. I've trained or been studying Ayurveda and how to apply it to yoga practice. There are three main constitutions in the world of the elements in Ayurveda. That imbalance of those is what Ayurveda is trying to support to come back to a sense of centeredness and balance in your biology. And one of those constitutions is called Pitta. And Pitta is water and fire. Pitta right now, with what I've been describing with this culture, is in overdrive. I am dominated by Pitta, so I understand and I get it. And I identify with this sense of drive very well. Some of the qualities that the Pitta governs is transformation, it's achievement, it's ambition, it's digestion, the ability to transform chemical processes biologically, but then also the ability to transform and digest mental experiences as well, and mental material. So it's greatly needed and it's very powerful. That is one of the qualities as well. We need power, we need force to create that transformational change. So when it is in balance, it is really bright, brilliant. It is really radiant. Most of the beloved people that we have in the world as celebrities and as leaders have that Pitta quality, that spark. But with our society as it is right now, in this culture that we've been talking about, Pitta is being pushed beyond its limits and not being checked and balanced. And power is becoming, as we sense and feel, the dominant way. And then when it's pushed into extremes, there's a few things that happen. In the body, when it's pushed into extremes, there's extreme dry out and inflammation. So that's drying out in our skin, inflammation and drying out in our joints. And then there can be other symptoms as well. In our minds, what ends up happening is we get very irritated, we get very easily angered, reactive. Think about, again, that chemical reaction, combustion. There's also a sense of competitiveness and comparison without any balance, without any sense of center or knowing or tethering to love and the sense of the wholeness. And the focus becomes too sharp. So one of the great qualities is the ability to focus, but it becomes so sharp that we lose the expansion of the whole. And we can see that happening. Like it becomes so focused on one thing, one achievement, one group of people, and we lose the sense of the whole. That pushing, overdrive, focus in the survival mode, and then the focus starts to get to points, scattered points. That's where the exhaustion will start to come. There's a few ways Ayurveda starts to treat this. I talk about oftentimes Abhyanga oil. In Ayurveda, they'll take oil for a longer session and start to pour it on certain aspects of your body, your knee, your forehead, that might need that more nourishing, balancing quality. And oil can, when it's in its purest state, can be very nourishing and lubricating to balance that drying out. And it helps also bring back a sense of focus to the self versus outside in that, again, comparison, competitive mode. Underneath this ambition, underneath this overdrive, this push, is actually a belief. You start to build the belief that if I stop, I will not be seen. That's how I get seen, is through continually keeping an eye out on how to be seen through comparison, competition. I won't be seen. And then underneath that, I won't matter. And there's an irony here in that you're burning out the physical matter of your body by not nourishing it. The digestive tract, which is the seat of Pitta, is the seat of fire. It pushes the nutrients forward. But if that becomes too fast, we know what that feels like in our digestive system. There's an issue. And if it's too dry, there's an issue there too. I want to say that need to be seen and that need to be acknowledged and bright and brilliant is a real need, a real nervous system need. And it's not to say that that's wrong at all either, that we just want to keep a sense of balance and a tetheredness to uh, how we want and need to be seen, and also reflecting that back or seeing the wholeness ourselves can give you that same sense of being seen that's more imbalanced. And so Ayurveda would come to that oil session where there's deep rest, but then there's nourishment. But they would also say that's not the only thing we need to do here. And that's where they would lean on yoga. And in yoga, they would also say we need to practice focusing our energy. And we're going to talk about how we do that with yoga therapy next. So here's what Ayurvedic practitioners understood: that the fire is needed. We need and want to be seen. When it's in overdrive, that can get scattered. And yes, we need deep nourishment and rest. That's true. But we also have to change the loops of our fire needs and make sure that they're tied or tethered to something that has a deeper focus and a more supported focus, rather than a scattered focus and a focus outside of ourselves with competition and comparison and power outside of ourselves. And so they would lean into yoga for single pointed, deliberate, nourishing, conscious focus. And that's what we're going to talk about in yoga therapy. The yogins called this Dharana. The sixth limb in the yoga therapy, yoga system is Dharana, single pointed focus or focus practice. So this is, we kind of, in the first limbs, deal with our responsibilities and how we need to take on those responsibilities externally and internally. We try to contain that and question and practice that within asana practice or postures. We try to expand our breath and our energy, so we start to understand we have this life force that we can expand or contract. We also then go into some rest that is needed. But after a sense of rest, what we need to come to is focus practice. So this is a key step, because if we only go to the rest, we're going to go back and revert back to scatteredness. So we really need to practice our focus. And most meditations these days, that's what you're doing. Anytime that you have a focal point, your breath, even focusing on releasing the thoughts. So you see the thoughts, release it. See the thoughts, release it. You're kind of bringing your attention to the release of that thought. When you're focusing on a light, or you're focusing on a physical sensation or a place in your physical body, you are doing Dharana. When you're focusing on the breath going up and down, and maybe even if you're not controlling the breath too much, just having that awareness and focus on the breath, that is Dharana practice. That is focus practice. And like I said, most people think of that as meditation, but you're not actually in meditation within this system. What you're doing is you're practicing focusing your mind on a single point, or maybe a couple of points. For example, you could argue the inhale and exhale is 2 points. Okay, so this is key to funneling your Pitta energy, that fiery focus, on one aspect. And we need fire, we need drive and commitment. We need that sense of passion to stay and courage to stay on that one point. This takes discipline, which is fiery. This takes our ability to kind of really bring our willpower into the focus practice. Sleep alone is not going to change your exhaustion, because when you go to bed at night, you have a million thoughts still racing. Your quality of sleep is not very good. You have dreams about your coworkers or the anxieties, and it manifests in metaphors. And when you wake up, you have the same way of dealing with it. You're just going to start to scatter your energy. So yoga tells us, and we've heard it time and time again, wherever your attention goes, your life will go. Wherever your attention goes, we say prana, but this is your life. This is your energy, your force, what you've been given as a birthright to exercise and experience life, your world. So wherever you put your focus on, that's where your life is going to go. And if you can focus it on one single point, the life energy becomes more intense. That's the fire. For example, when we experience trauma, right? That memory gets seared in our brain because there's nothing else that we're focused on. We are so focused and in that moment for that moment. And then it starts to steal all of our future moments in a way because we have that memory that shocks us back into the freeze, the fight, the flight within our nervous system. The memory starts to take over our body and our mind. It takes us out of the present moment. But it does this through a searing moment of focus. Well, we can do that in reverse with the calming. We have to practice it and we have to do it, but we can't. To experience and focus on your heart right here and right now, to sear that memory of what that feels like in your mind, that focal point and that life energy right here, right now, in your heart space. I do this with the Yoga Nidra. There is a free Yoga Nidra. Please experience a 30-minute Yoga Nidra where the first part of Yoga Nidra is this focus practice of focusing your energy on parts of your body. And that's primarily what the free Yoga Nidra is about. And we take our focus through the body. And in that, we are bringing prana back into our body. And we're like a search party, going out, searching for that energy and bringing it back home. And as we bring more focus in a parasympathetic mode, that's what the Western science would call it. Ayurveda would say Pitta cooling. We start to bring the Pitta's there. We are focusing, but we're in that more relaxed state of focus that we do in meditation practice, or what a lot of people call meditation practice. I would call focus practice. And then the yogis would call it Dharana, that focus practice. When we start to do that, then we're bringing more prana and focusing on a calm, centered home. And we get to choose from that place where we spend our energy. The boundaries become clearer. And when there's that calling to shoot it out in 50 different directions, we get to pause and come back. We know how to come back and say, okay, where do I need to put my energy this hour, this 30 minutes? Now, this is really beautiful because we can experience it right here, right now, together. I'm going to invite you to take your hands to your gut. You're not going to be able to see me, but my hands are on my guts, on my belly. I invite you to do that as you close your eyes. You're going to feel into the belly breath. And some of you have done this quite a bit. Some of you, this might be new. As you inhale, relax your abdomen and see if you can feel the belly expand. And then as you exhale, you're going to see if you can feel the belly gently, gently, gently draw in. It's almost like a sweet, gentle hug. Inhale, you're expanding your belly. And you're feeling it in your hands. Exhale, you're not contracting. There is a slight contraction, but you're not being strong with the muscles. You're just feeling that gentle hug in towards the center. There's a natural flow, and you can let it be really soft, really subtle, quite small. As you inhale, expansion, exhale, contraction. And perhaps you want to feel or sense light or energy right in your gut space. And as you inhale, it just expands a little bit through your skin. And as you exhale, it concentrates in. Maybe that color is yellow. Maybe there's a different color that's calling to you. But think of it almost like a sun right where your hands are. Glowing bright as you inhale and exhale, coming in, contracting a little bit. There's a slight dimness, but almost like coming under a cover, under sweet, warm comforter. And keep feeling this physical sensation, concentrating on the breath, feeling it in your hands, feeling it in your core, and the mind can focus on that sense of color or brightness. And if your mind wanders from there, you're wondering, you're thinking, you're analyzing, just notice and try to bring it back to either the physical sensation, the concentration on the breath, or if it helps, the light that sense of color and light. 1 or 2 more breaths. And you can release. I like to kind of rub my hands together and just wash my hands over my eyes to release. The reason why I used 3 different kind of focal points is because, again, we meet people where they're at. Often people have 50, if not more, things that they're binging between, right? So the 3 also invites several different entry points, as well as if the scattered mind is just bouncing between 3, I think we're really, really in success here, and it does start to slow down that scatteredness. So we had the physical sensation, the breath, and the color. And some people access physical sensation easier. Some people access color or light or visuals easier. And so those entry points can be really beneficial for different types. The exhaustion you're feeling is not a character flaw. It's not even a productivity problem. What you're feeling is the inevitable results of a society that really is unintelligently not understanding the human nervous system and how it plugs into the whole. It is Pitta, it is fire on overdrive that only looks at achievement and forward action without how everything else feeds into that digestive or productivity stream. The ancients knew this, the Ayurvedic and yogic practitioners, and we're catching up. But as we're catching up, we're actually feeding the meditation and wellness culture is feeding back into a system of overdrive, of achievement, achieving the wellness. So we got to watch out for that. Thank you for doing this work with me today and thinking about these things and maybe asking yourself how you can start calling your energy back home and how you can start to value that yourself, starting with yourself, your family, and your home. And if there's someone else in your family or in your home or in your life, in your community that could really use this information as well and this reminder as well, or this new way of looking at it, please share, because we need to start building this from the ground up, this rhythm of really sacredly focusing on our health and wholeness. I hope that this serves you. I hope that it does serve your community, whether that's through you or through sharing it with them. This is a very small channel that I really am happy and excited about growing, and I appreciate every subscriber. And we are growing quite fast this past month. I am so appreciative of your watching, of your energy. Can't thank you enough. I hope you travel well and enjoy your prana, enjoy your life. Namaste. I'll see you next time.